Kristen, earlier this morning was starting to tell us about this epic couple of days she just spent in LA, receiving the highest award that a woman in media can receive. One of the Gracies.
Yeah,
what an event.
It was honestly so incredible to be a part of, and to be in that room amongst all those powerful and inspirational women. So yeah, it's the Gracie Awards presented by the Alliance for Women in Media Foundation. It's kind of a big deal.
It's a very big deal.
And I was telling Bert off air, there wasn't an ounce of imposter syndrome in that room. You could tell that the women firmly believed they deserved to be there and what they were being recognized for. And it wasn't done in a braggadocious way. It was just women recognizing other women for their accomplishments and what they have done on camera, off camera, on radio, off radio, podcast, news anchors, you name it, across the spectrum of media. And it was just, I was sitting there and I'm taking in the room and looking at who was around me and, the speeches on stage. And I'm like, man, it is so cool to be in this room with these women and recognizing these accomplishments.
Not exactly sure how to phrase this question, but I'll try. Do you feel like the spirits in that room and the night was different because it was strictly women that were being honored?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's the whole purpose, and the thing was, it wasn't man bashing. It was just lifting other women out, lifting other women up. So, you're taking a marginalized group that, for centuries had been overlooked and dismissed and recognizing, their accomplishments. It was a beautiful night to be a part of. And it was just, it was so much fun. I did lose Gracie for a second.
Oh, no. And by the way, you have to describe what that award looks like because it is one impressive piece of hardware.
It's rather heavy. It looks like a giant ice cream scoop. It's actually a woman, and it kind of looks like she has a halo over her. So it could be a halo or hair or hat, and it's kind of got a feminine shape to it. And it's sitting on a stand. But yeah, and she's got some heft to her. So I go and I receive the award and I do my golden mic moment. They record me because obviously not all 160 people are going to take the stage. That would have been asinine. And so we're there in the cocktail hour getting a drink, and we get our drink and we go and we sit down and we start talking to the women from the NBC Sports Olympic coverage team. And then I was like, I felt a little too light. And I look at Cassie and I'm like, I left my award at the bar.
No. You need to put an air tag on it.
So I went back to the bar and there she was sitting on the corner of the bar where we had got our drink. And again, I had just started drinking. So it's not like I was drunk. I'm just not used to receiving awards and having something to take care of. So, I found her. The red carpet was wild. So it was the first time I've ever walked a red carpet where people were there's a sea of photographers and videographers and they're saying your name to look at them and to and it was just, and so I'm sitting there and I'm I'm holding Gracie and I'm just I'm smiling and it was so bizarre. Now then we got to one part of the red carpet because it was kind of you walked and then you turned and then you'd walk down again. We only got to walk the first half because we weren't famous enough to walk the second half.
There's an exit ramp. I've been part of these. There's an exit ramp for those that aren't the A-listers that are supposed to go to the right.
Are you kidding? No, not at all. So they escort, you get to the one part and then they're okay, thank you. So they're really gracious and nice about it.
It's smooth.
Yeah. So you walk off and then I turn and look and there's Fortune Feimster getting interviewed and there's Ed Begley getting interviewed and we see other famous people legitimately famous people and I'm that's why we didn't walk that side because Access Hollywood is there and E and Extra and they're interviewing them and getting sound bites for the the entertainment tabloid news outlets, and I'm like, but we stood back there and we took it in, like watching like the famous people get actually interviewed on the red carpet because they just took photos of us. But that was that was funny.
There's always levels.
There's yes.
There's always somebody that you can look at and still be humble, man. Like, well, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, almost.
And then so I told you about the night earlier. So the next day, not as hungover as I thought we were going to be, Cassie.
Surprisingly, no. I think it's because we started drinking very early.
Yeah.
I think really that's what the award is for.
What?
Is the least hungover of the Gracies.
So, get up the next morning, and I'm telling you these specific details because the timing was everything into what happened the morning after the Gracies. So we're in the room and we're packing up, and I'm trying to make coffee, but it's a really fancy coffee machine, and I kept screwing it up. And I screwed it up, used our last coffee pod, and it got stuck, and I couldn't get the coffee or whatever. And I was like, fine, I will expedite this packing process. I'll go down to the hotel restaurant and get breakfast. Because we woke up and our flight was delayed an hour. So we had an extra hour to hang at the hotel because we were just going to leave right after packing. Of course, our flight was delayed because I'm traveling with Cassie. That's what happens. So I'm hustling because I really need a coffee, and I pack my stuff up. Cassie's still in the room, and I'm like, hey, take your time, but I'm going to go down to the restaurant and get some breakfast and a coffee. And she was like, cool. So I go downstairs. I walk to the front desk. I get them to take my luggage so I'm not dragging it with me. I go into the restaurant. They seat me. I sit down. My server comes up. I order my cappuccino, and I am sitting there. And for those that don't know, my dad, Pops, passed away years ago. And so I'm sitting there, and also, if you don't know, my dad and I had a connection, and that was Beatles music, right? Among many other connections. And I'm sitting there by myself, looking out at Rodeo Drive, and this comes on. So it's Beyonce's rendition of Blackbird.
I got chills, man.
Which is a Beatles song. And I'm normally not a fan of covers, but Beyonce did such a beautiful job with Blackbird, and especially the meaning behind it, with it being the civil rights. And the fact that a Beatles song came on, and it was a woman's rendition of the Beatles, considering why I was there in LA to receive this award. And, my dad and I there's several songs that are meaningful, but you were always waiting for that moment to arise. And I've been wanting this moment and waiting for it for a long time. I tell you, I took a moment and I just sat there and listened, and I just looked up and I said, thanks, Pops. I know you're proud.
Oh, wow. Chill bumps, man.
Moment.
Real chill bumps.
And that was, and then we go to the airport, and Cassie was so sweet. She tried to she actually didn't try. The pilot made an announcement about my award, and also the flight attendants, but we're going to have to tell you later about how that went sideways. Because once again, it's Cassie.
Right. Anything Cassie touches, it used to be gold.
It's about bronze now.
Yeah, it's a little bit on the bronze side now.
The Bert Show.